A young nurse donates blood to a stranger. Unaware, he's a millionaire single dad who will soon. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let us return to our main character. The fluorescent lights in St. Mary's Hospital hummed softly as Anna Monroe rushed down the corridor, her white sneakers squeaking against the polished floor. It was 2 a.m, the kind of hour when the world outside fell asleep. But inside the emergency wing, everything pulsed with life and urgency. The call had come suddenly. A patient in critical condition, rare blood type, immediate transfusion needed. And Anna was the only available match. Her heart pounded as she pushed open the heavy door to the trauma bay. The air was thick with antiseptic and quiet panic. Machines beeped steadily. A team of doctors surrounded a man on the bed, his chest rising and falling in shallow rhythm beneath the oxygen mask. Tubes and wires snaked across his body. "Miss Monroe," the attending physician said sharply, "thank you for coming so quickly. We are losing him." Anna nodded, her throat dry. She rolled up her sleeve, trying to keep her hands from trembling. As the nurse beside her prepared the line, Anna glanced at the patient. His face was pale, strikingly calm despite the chaos. Dark hair damp with sweat clung to his forehead. He looked to be in his mid-30s, maybe a little older. There was something dignified about him, even unconscious. When the needle slid into her arm, a warm ache spread through her veins. The blood bag began to fill. The color, deep, vivid red, caught the light like a quiet promise of life. Anna focused on breathing evenly. Across from her, one of the doctors muttered an order. Another checked the monitors. The patient's pulse steadied slightly. Minutes passed. The tension in the room shifted from desperation to fragile hope. Anna dared to look again at the man she was saving. That was when she noticed the silver bracelet on his wrist. It was engraved with a name, Ethan. No last name, just that. She found herself whispering under her breath, "Hold on, Ethan. You are not leaving tonight." The chief doctor gave a small nod. "Stabilizing. Keep the transfusion going." A wave of relief washed over her, and with it, exhaustion. The edges of her vision blurred slightly. The nurse beside her smiled. "You did good, Anna. He will make it through the night." She managed a tired smile. "I hope so. Whoever he is, someone out there must be waiting for him." When the transfusion was complete, she pressed a bandage over her arm and stood slowly. Her legs felt weak, but her heart was steady. She turned for one last look at the man on the bed. His hand twitched, almost imperceptibly, as if reaching for something. Anna's voice softened. "You are safe now." Outside, the corridor stretched empty and quiet. The sound of rain whispered against the windows. She pulled her sweater tighter around her shoulders and walked toward the break room, unaware that the man she had just saved was not just another patient. He was Ethan Carter, a powerful CEO and single father, whose life and heart were about to become intertwined with hers in ways neither of them could imagine. That night, Anna Monroe thought she was giving blood to a stranger. In truth, she had just changed the course of her own destiny. The next morning, sunlight spilled across the windows of St. Mary's Hospital, painting long golden lines over the tiled floor. Anna Monroe stood by the vending machine in the staff lounge, stirring a cup of weak coffee. Her arms still ached faintly from the blood donation, but her mind was somewhere else back in the trauma bay, with the stranger named Ethan. She wondered if he had made it through the night. No one had told her anything, and she was too junior to ask. Nurses like her were supposed to keep moving, to do their rounds, to change sheets and check charts, not to get attached. But she could not stop thinking about him. Her shift began at 7. The hospital corridors were already alive with movement, the distant hum of gurney wheels, the faint beeping of monitors, the quiet rush of shoes on linoleum. Anna pulled her badge straight and began her morning routine. Room after room, she checked on patients recovering from surgery, the elderly in physical therapy, the children in pediatrics who still smiled through pain. She worked quietly, efficiently, the way a nurse should. Yet behind every careful motion was exhaustion. Her life had become a series of 12-hour shifts, bills stacked on the kitchen counter, and phone calls to her mother's long-term care facility. Her mother's illness had drained their savings years ago. Anna had taken every extra shift she could, sometimes skipping meals, sometimes sleeping in the break room between rotations. Still, she never complained. She believed in purpose. Her patients needed her, even when the world outside forgot people like her existed. When the floor supervisor passed by, Anna offered a polite smile. "Morning, Miss Green." "Morning, Anna. You look tired," the older woman said. Anna brushed it off with a small laugh. "I am fine. Coffee is my best friend." "Oh." Miss Green gave her a sympathetic nod. "That man from last night, the one in the emergency wing, he made it. He is in intensive care now." Anna froze, the coffee in her cup trembling. He survived?" "Barely, but yes. You saved him, you know." Anna felt something warm rise in her chest. Relief, disbelief, maybe both. She tried to sound casual. "I was just a donor. The doctors did everything." Miss Green shook her head. "You did more than you think." Then she moved on, leaving Anna alone with the quiet echo of those words. She returned to her rounds, but her thoughts stayed in the intensive care unit. She pictured the man lying there, the faint line of the silver bracelet against his wrist, the name Ethan gleaming in the light. It was strange how one small moment could stay in her mind like a heartbeat. At noon, she sat by the window of the cafeteria, pushing around a sandwich she could barely afford. Outside, the city moved on traffic horns, sunlight, 1,000 stories colliding beyond the glass. Inside, Anna sat in her white scrubs, tired but calm, thinking about the lives she touched that would never know her name. Her phone buzzed with a message reminder from the care center, payment due by Friday. She sighed, locking the screen. The number looked impossible. She whispered to herself, "One more double shift. Just one more." Oh. As she stood to leave, she noticed a streak of blood on her sleeve, probably from changing a bandage earlier. She wiped it away gently. Every mark, every stain, was a reminder of who she was, a nurse who gave more than she had, not because she expected anything back, but because she still believed in the worth of small kindnesses. That evening, as she walked home, the city air felt heavy and cold. Her apartment was a cramped studio above a laundromat, the kind of place that hummed all night. She heated a can of soup, fed the stray cat that waited by her door, and checked her planner filled with color-coded shifts. Before turning off the light, she paused by the small notebook on her table. On the first page, she had written months ago, "Do good anyway." Anna smiled faintly. Somewhere in the same city, a man named Ethan was breathing because she had said yes when they called her in the night. She did not know his story. She did not know that hers was about to change because of him. She only knew that tomorrow she would wake up, tie her hair back, and walk into another long shift with the same quiet determination. Because that was what Anna Monroe did. She showed up, even when no one saw her. And sometimes, that was enough to change everything. 2 days later, Anna Monroe was assigned to a temporary rotation in the intensive care wing. When she checked the roster, her eyes stopped on one name, Ethan Carter. For a moment, she simply stared, her heart skipping. It was the same name engraved on the silver bracelet, the same man whose life she had helped save. The head nurse handed her the folder. "You will handle basic care and monitor vitals. The patient is stable but still under observation. Keep communication limited. His family has requested privacy." Anna nodded, trying to sound professional even as curiosity tugged at her. She pushed the door open quietly and stepped into the private suite. The room was nothing like the others in the hospital. The curtains were thick, the air smelled faintly of cedar and antiseptic, and a soft instrumental song played from a speaker in the corner. Machines beeped in slow rhythm beside the bed. Ethan lay motionless, pale under the clean white sheets. His hair had been combed back neatly. The silver bracelet still rested on his wrist, glinting under the fluorescent light. Anna stood there for a long moment. "You again," she whispered softly. "Looks like we meet twice in one lifetime." She set down her supplies and began her tasks. She checked the IV drip, adjusted the monitors, and cleaned the tray table. Every small action felt heavier here, in this silent room where time seemed to slow. When she finished, She hesitated before pulling a small notebook from her pocket, the same one where she wrote reminders and little thoughts. She placed it on the table beside his bed. "I usually keep this for patient notes," she said quietly, "but I think you deserve a few stories. Maybe you can hear me. Maybe not." She sat by the bedside and began speaking softly as she worked. "Yesterday, one of my patients in recovery tried to give me a chocolate bar as a thank you. She said, 'You look like you need it more than me.' She was probably right." Anna smiled faintly. "Anyway, it made my day." No reply, only the slow, steady sound of the monitor. She continued talking, filling the quiet with pieces of her world stories about the cafeteria coffee, about her mother's garden she missed, about the cat that always waited by her door. It became a rhythm, her voice and his silence weaving something fragile but real. Days turned into a pattern. Morning checks, gentle sponge baths, whispered stories. Each time she entered the room, she spoke as though he might open his eyes at any second. "Good morning, Ethan. You made it through another night." Or, "The sky looked beautiful today. You would have liked it." Once, while she was adjusting his pillow, the silver bracelet slid slightly down his wrist, revealing faint initials on the underside, EC. She caught her breath, realizing he was not just a man named Ethan. He was someone important, someone who could afford a suite like this. Still, she brushed the thought away. To her, he was just a patient who needed kindness. On her lunch break, Anna passed the nurse's station and overheard two orderlies whispering. "They say he owns some kind of company," one murmured. "Car crash. Big deal in the news." "Why would a billionaire be here instead of in a private clinic?" the other replied. Anna kept walking, pretending not to hear. She did not want to think of him as a billionaire. It made the care feel less human. That evening, while checking his vitals, she noticed a small twitch in his fingers. She froze. "Ethan?" she said softly, leaning closer. "Nothing." Then another flicker, a faint movement, almost imperceptible but real. Her heart began to race. She reached for his hand. "If you can hear me, just move again." For a long moment, there was silence. Then his index finger shifted slightly, once, then stilled. Anna gasped, her eyes widening. "Oh my goodness! You can hear me!" She pressed the call button, voice trembling. "Dr. Harris, I think he just moved." Within minutes, the room filled with staff. They ran tests, checked monitors, spoke in urgent tones. Dr. Harris confirmed an increase in neural activity, small, but significant. "Keep doing what you are doing, Miss Monroe," he said afterward. "He is responding to stimulation. Talk to him. Familiar voices help." After everyone left, Anna sat beside Ethan again, her pulse still racing. She reached for his hand once more. "You heard that, did you? You are fighting. I knew you would." "Oh," she smiled, brushing a stray lock of hair from his forehead. "We will keep talking, you and I, until you wake up. Deal?" The monitor beeped softly in the background, steady as a heartbeat. For the first time, Anna allowed herself to believe that he would open his eyes one day, and when he did, she would be there, the stranger who refused to give up on him. The morning light filtered through the blinds of the intensive care suite. Machines hummed softly as Anna Monroe stepped inside with her clipboard pressed against her chest. It had been a week since the first movement. Since then, every day felt like standing on the edge of something miraculous. She began her usual routine, checking the IV line, adjusting the pillows, humming under her breath. The room smelled faintly of fresh linen and antiseptic. When she reached for the washcloth to bathe his face, she paused. His eyelids twitched. Her heart skipped. "Ethan?" she whispered. The faint movement happened again, this time followed by a low sound, like air caught in his throat. Anna set the cloth down carefully, her hands trembling. "It is all right. Take your time. You are safe." Then, slowly, his eyes opened. They were gray, with a hint of blue, dazed but alive. For a long moment, he stared up at the ceiling, blinking as if trying to remember how to see. Anna felt tears blur her vision. She had waited for this, dreamed of it. Yet now that it was real, she could barely breathe. He tried to speak, his voice rough and broken. "Where am I?" "St. Mary's Hospital," she said softly. "You have been here for weeks. You were in an accident, but you are going to be fine. He turned his head slightly toward her voice. You? Are the nurse? She nodded, smiling through tears. Yes, my name is Anna. He studied her face for a long time, his expression gentle, confused. I remember a voice, he murmured. It kept talking to me. About the rain, about coffee, about a cat. Anna laughed quietly, covering her mouth. That was me. I was not sure you could hear any of it. I did, he whispered. It kept me here. The words sank into her like sunlight after a long storm. Over the next days, the recovery team moved quickly. His speech returned, his strength improved. Anna was by his side for every small victory, every time he lifted his arm, every time he took a sip of water without help. When he tried to stand for the first time, she held his arm steady, smiling when he managed 2 steps before sitting again. You are stronger than you think, she said. He looked at her with quiet gratitude. I would not be here without you. Anna shook her head. You did the hard part. I only helped you find the way back. Still, a strange warmth lingered between them. She told herself it was pride, relief, the bond between a caregiver and a patient. Yet every time he smiled, something in her chest ached in a way she could not explain. One evening, after the medical team left, Ethan watched her clean the room, her movements calm and steady. Anna, he said suddenly, his voice softer now. Why did you stay with me all this time? She froze, caught off guard. Because that is my job. He smiled faintly. No, it feels like more than that. Her throat tightened. Maybe I just wanted to make sure you found your way back to the world. Their eyes met. For a long second, the sound of the machines faded, and only their breathing filled the space. Anna looked away first, tucking a stray strand of hair behind her ear. Try to rest, Mr. Carter. You have a long recovery ahead. As she stepped out of the room, her pulse was still racing. She told herself it was just the adrenaline of seeing a patient awaken. But deep down, she knew that something had shifted, something neither of them could undo. Weeks passed, and the rhythm of recovery became the heartbeat of Ethan Carter's world. The private suite at St. Mary's Hospital no longer felt sterile or lifeless. Sunlight filtered through the windows now, and the air carried the soft hum of life returning. Anna Monroe arrived every morning, clipboard in hand, her white sneakers squeaking against the polished floor. Ethan had come to know that sound well. It meant comfort. It meant she was near. Good morning, Mr. Carter, she said brightly as she adjusted his bed and checked the monitor. He smiled, still pale but stronger. You make it sound like I am back at work already. You would not want to be late for your own recovery, she teased. Each day brought small victories. Ethan could now stand with support and walk a few steps along the corridor. His voice, once fragile, grew firmer. When he laughed, the sound startled the staff, rich, deep, alive. And each time Anna heard it, she felt something stir inside her that she could not name. During physical therapy, she often stood beside him, holding his elbow as he practiced walking. One morning, he stumbled slightly, and her instinct made her catch his hand. For a brief moment, their fingers stayed entwined. The warmth lingered long after she let go. Sorry, she murmured, flustered. Old habit. He looked at her with quiet humor. Do not apologize for saving me twice. That evening, when the hallway lights dimmed, Anna brought him his dinner tray and set it on the rolling table. Chicken soup again, she said. You would think a hospital could manage one decent meal. He chuckled softly. I suppose this is karma for every business lunch I ever skipped. She smiled, sitting for a moment beside his bed. You sound like a man who used to have too many meetings. I did, he admitted. And not enough real conversations. He studied her face thoughtfully. You talk like someone who knows the value of time, Anna shrugged. When you work 12-hour shifts and still try to call your mother before bed, you learn not to waste a second. He tilted his head. You take care of her? Yes, Anna said, her voice softening. She is in a long-term care center across town. It is expensive, but she was always there for me. It is my turn now. Oh. Something changed in his expression. Respect, admiration, maybe more. You are remarkable, Anna, she laughed nervously. No, just practical. But that night, as she recorded his chart, she kept hearing his words. Remarkable. No one had ever said that to her before. Over the next week, their bond deepened. Anna found herself bringing little things to his room, a small plant for the windowsill, a playlist of soft piano music, even a book of short stories she thought he might like. She read aloud when he could not sleep, her voice gentle in the quiet. "Do you always talk this much to your patients?" he teased one night. "Only the stubborn ones," she replied with a grin. Ethan smiled, but behind the humor, something else lingered. Gratitude, wonder, a growing sense of connection that frightened him a little. He had spent years building walls, work, wealth, distance. But this woman, with her tired eyes and steady hands, had walked right through them. One rainy afternoon, as thunder rumbled outside, Ethan turned toward her while she changed his IV line. "Anna, do you believe people meet for a reason?" She hesitated, surprised by the question. "I do. I think some people come into our lives to remind us who we are." He nodded slowly. "That is what you did for me." Her breath caught. "Ethan, I mean it," he said firmly. "When I was lost between life and death, your voice was the only thing I could hear. You pulled me back." "Oh." Anna looked away, blinking fast. "You should rest. Talking too much will tire you out." But after she left the room, her hands trembled as she leaned against the wall. Her heart beat faster than it should have. She knew she was crossing a line she could not afford to cross. He was her patient, her responsibility, nothing more. Still, that night, when she returned to check on him, she found him asleep with her notebook open beside his bed. On the page, he had written in unsteady handwriting, "Thank you for not giving up on me." Anna smiled through tears she did not expect. In that quiet, she finally allowed herself to whisper, "You are welcome, Ethan. You are worth saving." And for the first time in years, she believed those words applied to herself, too. By the end of the second month, Ethan Carter was walking without assistance. The physical therapists called it a miracle. The hospital staff called it a recovery story for the books. But for Anna Monroe, it felt more personal than that. She had seen him at his weakest silent, fragile, lost, and now, watching him stand near the window in the soft morning light, she felt both proud and strangely distant. Ethan turned as she entered the room, his smile gentle. "Good morning, Anna." "Good morning," she replied, setting a tray of medication on the table. "How is your leg today?" "Better. My balance is improving. The doctor says I may be discharged soon." She nodded, forcing a smile. "That is wonderful news." Her voice carried warmth, but inside she felt a flicker of sadness. She knew this was how every story like theirs ended. The patient recovered, the nurse moved on, and the world continued. Still, a quiet ache followed her every time he smiled. As she checked his vitals, Ethan studied her face. "You do not seem happy for me." Anna looked up quickly. "Of course I am. You work so hard for this." "I?" He watched her carefully. "Then why does it sound like goodbye?" She busied herself writing notes on the chart. "Because it might be." He said nothing, only nodded slowly. "I will miss our talks." Anna's heart stung at his honesty. "You will have plenty of people to talk to when you leave, maybe even family waiting for you." Ethan's gaze darkened slightly. "Family is complicated." She paused. "I am sorry. I did not mean to." "It is all right," he said softly. "You do not have to apologize. My father passed away years ago. My younger brother and I, we do not see eye to eye." Anna hesitated, then asked, "What about your wife?" He smiled faintly, though there was no joy in it. "She left a long time ago. It is just me and my son now." Her breath caught. "You have a son?" "Yes. His name is Luke. He is 9 years old. He is staying with my sister until I am fully recovered." Something warm filled her chest. "He must miss you very much." Ethan's eyes softened. "I hope so. I want to be a better father when I go home." Anna looked at him then. Really looked the man who had once been motionless, now standing with quiet strength, speaking with regret and hope. "You already are," she said gently. He gave her a grateful smile. "You always know what to say." Later that evening, as she tidied the room, Ethan held out a small notebook, the same one she used during his coma. "You left this here," he said. "I read the last page again, the one where you wrote, 'Do good anyway.' It stuck with me." She smiled shyly. "It helps me get through the hard days." He nodded. "It helped me, too." The The room fell quiet, filled with the hum of machines and the faint sound of rain outside. Then Ethan spoke again, his tone thoughtful. "When I am discharged, I want you to meet Luke. You have done more for us than you realize." Anna's hand stilled on the blanket she was folding. "Ethan, that is kind. But I do not think—" He interrupted gently. "Just think about it. He should know the person who brought his father back." For a long moment, Anna said nothing. She looked at the man who had once been a stranger, now someone whose life felt inexplicably bound to hers. Finally, she nodded. "All right, maybe one day." Ethan smiled softly, and for the first time, she saw not a patient, not a billionaire, but a man simply grateful to be alive. Outside, the rain eased into a gentle drizzle, and for both of them, the world felt a little lighter. A week after Ethan Carter's discharge, St. Mary's Hospital felt quieter without him. Anna Monroe returned to her usual shifts, though every corridor seemed emptier. She tried to focus on her work, but every so often, she caught herself glancing at the private suite he once occupied. Then one afternoon, while updating records at the nurse's station, she overheard two doctors speaking in hushed voices. "They reopened the Carter case," one said. "It looks like the accident might not have been accidental after all." Anna froze, her pen hovering over the chart. "What do you mean?" she asked quietly. The doctors exchanged uneasy glances. "Brake failure," one replied. "But the forensics found tool marks. Someone tampered with the car." "All," the words echoed in her mind long after they walked away. Tampered. Not an accident. She felt a cold shiver crawl up her spine. That night, she could not sleep. Something in her gut told her Ethan did not know the truth. The next morning, before her shift began, she went to the records department. Her hands trembled slightly as she scrolled through archived files on the hospital computer. When she found the entry under his name, her heart stopped. The report from the night of the crash had been edited, data missing, timestamps changed. Someone inside had covered it up. Anna's mind raced. Why? Who would want to harm Ethan Carter? Before she could dig deeper, a security guard appeared behind her. "Miss Monroe, you should not be in that system without clearance." She closed the file quickly. "I am sorry. I was just verifying a record for the chief." The guard frowned but walked away. Anna exhaled shakily. She knew she had crossed a line, but the truth burned too hot to ignore. That evening, she called Ethan. His assistant answered first, then passed the phone. "Anna?" Ethan's familiar voice came through, warm but tired. "There is something you need to know," she said, her tone firm. "About your accident." He hesitated. "What about it?" Anna swallowed hard. "It was not mechanical failure. Someone tampered with your brakes." There was silence on the line. Then Ethan's voice turned low and tense. "Who told you that?" "No one. I found the records. They were altered." Another pause. "Thank you, Anna," he said quietly. "I will handle this." When the call ended, Anna sat in the dim light of her small apartment, heart pounding. She knew she had stepped into something dangerous. But she also knew she could not stand by while someone tried to destroy the man whose life she had fought to save. Outside, thunder rolled again, just like the night she gave her blood. And she realized this was not over, it was only the beginning. The next morning, rain fell steadily over the city. Anna Monroe sat in the hospital cafeteria with her coffee untouched, her mind racing. She replayed the phone call with Ethan Carter again and again, wondering if she had done the right thing. She had no proof, only instinct and the incomplete records she had seen. But she knew one thing: someone had tried to silence the truth. Just before noon, her phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. "Anna," Ethan's voice came through, low but calm. "I need to see you. Please come to Carter Enterprises this afternoon. I will send a car." Her heart pounded. "Ethan, what is happening?" "I will explain when you get here. Trust me." "No." By 3 o'clock, she stood in the towering lobby of Carter Enterprises, the glass walls gleaming like mirrors in the rain. She had never been in a place so vast, so polished. The receptionist greeted her by name and led her to a private elevator. When the doors opened, Ethan was waiting in a charcoal suit, looking strong but tense. He smiled faintly. "Thank you for coming." "I almost did not," she admitted. "You sounded different." He gestured toward his office. I had to. Things are worse than I thought. Inside, papers covered the desk, financial statements, emails, printed photos. Ethan picked up one and handed it to her. It showed a mechanic's invoice dated the day before his crash. This proved someone ordered a false inspection report. My brother Nathan handled it. Anna felt a chill. Your own brother? Ethan nodded grimly. He wanted control of the company. After the accident, he took over my seat on the board. He never expected me to wake up. And now? She asked. Now he knows I am back. Before Anna could respond, the office door burst open. Nathan Carter strode in, flanked by 2 security guards. His expression was cold, his tone sharper. You should have stayed quiet, Ethan. And you? He turned toward Anna, eyes narrowing. You are the nurse, aren't you? The one who kept him alive? Ethan stepped protectively in front of her. Leave her out of this, Nathan. Nathan smirked. Too late. She is already in it. Tension crackled in the air. One of the guards moved forward, but Ethan's voice cut through like steel. You will not touch her. He reached into his jacket and pressed a button on a small recorder. A familiar voice filled the room, Nathan's, captured from a board call days earlier. Once he is gone, the company is mine. No more delays. Nathan froze. The guards exchanged uneasy glances. Ethan looked at his brother steadily. You tried to kill me. You tampered with my car. And now, the police will hear it from you. As if on cue, 2 detectives entered the office, flashing badges. Nathan Carter, you are under arrest for attempted murder and corporate fraud. The guards stepped back. Nathan's face turned pale. You set me up, he hissed. No, Ethan said evenly. You set yourself up. As the detectives led Nathan away, the room fell silent, except for the rain against the windows. Anna let out a shaky breath. You had a recording all along? Ethan nodded. After your call, I realized I had the evidence I needed. You gave me the courage to use it. Anna smiled weakly. I did not do much. He looked at her with quiet warmth. You did everything. You saved me twice, first my life, then my name. The rain outside slowed to a gentle drizzle. For the first time in months, Ethan felt free. And for the first time, Anna allowed herself to breathe without fear. Justice had found its way through the storm. 1 year later, the spring sun shone warmly over the city. A new sign hung above the front doors of a small brick building in downtown Westbridge, Hope Bridge Community Clinic. The name glimmered in silver letters, simple yet full of meaning. Inside, the waiting room was bright with flowers and laughter. It was a place for those who could not afford care but still deserved compassion. Anna Monroe stood behind the front desk, her white coat freshly pressed, a stethoscope around her neck. She greeted every patient with a smile, the same way she once had in the sterile halls of St. Mary's Hospital. This place was different, though. It was hers, a dream she never thought would come true. When the door opened behind her, she turned. Ethan Carter walked in, holding a small bouquet of lilies. He looked lighter than she remembered, his suit crisp, his expression soft. Congratulations, Dr. Monroe, he said warmly. She laughed gently. You know I am not a doctor. Nah. He shrugged with a playful grin. You are more than one in my book. You heal people with more than medicine. Anna shook her head but could not stop smiling. You had something to do with this, did you not? The funding, the permits, the sudden miracle of approval from the city? Ethan's eyes sparkled. Maybe. Let us call it repayment for every long night you sat by my bed, every word that kept me alive. Before she could reply, a young boy burst in through the doorway, clutching a drawing. Dad! Look, I finished it. Anna's heart melted as Luke Carter ran up to his father, beaming. Ethan ruffled the boy's hair. Show Miss Anna, he said. Luke proudly held up the picture. A woman in a white coat standing beside a tall man under a sign that read, Hope Bridge. Beneath it, in uneven letters, the boy had written, Thank you for saving my dad. Anna knelt to his level, her voice gentle. This is beautiful, Luke. You have real talent. The boy grinned. Dad says you are a real hero. Ugly. Anna glanced up at Ethan, who smiled quietly. Your father gives me too much credit, she said. Ethan shook his head. No, he does not. The clinic phone rang, breaking the moment. Anna excused herself to answer, her tone warm and steady as she spoke to a patient. Ethan watched her for a while, the sunlight reflecting off her hair. She moved with calm confidence, every motion filled with purpose. When she returned, he handed her the lilies. "One more thing," he said softly. "You once told me you did not believe in destiny. I think I am here to change your mind." Anna blinked in surprise. "Ethan," he took her hand gently. "You gave me back my life, Anna. Let me spend it making yours brighter." Her eyes softened. "You already have." Luke tugged at Ethan's sleeve. "Dad, are we staying for dinner?" Ethan smiled. "Only if Miss Anna says yes." Anna laughed, tears glimmering at the corners of her eyes. "Dinner sounds perfect." Outside, the street glowed golden in the setting Sunday. A light breeze carried the laughter of people leaving the clinic, families, workers, strangers who had found hope again. As they stepped outside together, Ethan slipped his hand into hers. The silver bracelet he once wore now rested on her wrist, engraved with two names, Ethan and Anna. From that night long ago when she gave blood to a stranger, their lives had been bound by something greater than chance. Now, they walked side by side into the fading light, no longer nurse and patient, but two souls who had learned that kindness could change the course of fate and that love, when born from healing, could last forever.